Working on an 85 K10 today. The pin coming out of the rear end, busted spider gears. We drove it a little while longer. I think it's probably chewed the bearings up by now, so we're just going to go ahead and change the whole rear end. Couldn't find the 6-lug K10 rear end. I found a 2-wheel drive C10 rear end out of a 1980. I'm going to make it work. I think we can just swap the axles over. I'll show you guys how that shit works. This is what happens when your pin breaks in your rear end. Alright, I'm going to try to get some of this shit recorded before it starts raining. First thing you want to do is pull the pan. Once you get the pan removed, you get your grease drained. You're going to go ahead and just go to the end there and spin your axle over. You just keep spinning it until you see that little bolt right there. Alright, once you get the little bolt removed, we're going to pull the pin out. Okay, once you get your pin to where it's able to come out and you can see your spider gears, we're going to pull the pin out. Keep it clean. Lay it on a shop rag. Okay. This is going to allow your axle, which is right here and here, it's going to allow this to move in. So we're going to go to the outside here and push the axle in. Now you have access to this little keeper that holds the axle in. I usually just let them fall to the bottom and then grab them out of the bottom. That's all it is. This is what holds your axle in. Once you get that removed, you can go ahead and push the axle out. Come over here. I don't know why I zoomed. Alright, we're back. Pull the axle out of the rear end. You motherfucker. One-handed. I normally do that just to keep the axle clean. These actually make good a beginning to a table for a bench grinder. You got good weight down there. Just weld the axle to the drum. Put your flat plate here and a bench grinder on top. Alright, we got the axle out of the 2-wheel drive rear end. I also have that one pulled off the truck. I need to unbolt it. But before we go any further, I recommend measuring your axle compared to the old axle out of the 2-wheel drive. You just want to be sure before you go installing anything. I don't know if different years might have a different diameter where the bearing rides in the rear end. Just right here. I'm not sure on the years and stuff. This rear end come out of 1980 or 81 C10. I don't know if it's original. Might be older, might be newer. This truck is an 85. There's no telling if this rear end is stock. So the best thing to do, which it's hard to do with the drum one, but once you get the drum and wheel off your axle, just take a caliper. It doesn't have to be digital, but go down here where the bearing rides and do your measurement, and then compare it to the one out of the rear end you're getting ready to use. And also, doesn't hurt to take a tape measure. I'd probably clean that off, but just go from there to the top of the axle, see what your measurement is, make sure they're the same. Also, another thing to keep in mind on these rear ends, mine is a 307 or a 308, you can call it, out of this truck. I'm replacing it with the same thing, only 2-wheel drive. An old guy told me, he said, if it's a 10-bolt rear end, 10 bolts holding the pan on, then you need to go back with a 10-bolt. He said the axles will not interchange from 12 to 10. So if you got a 12-bolt, make sure you replace it with a 12-bolt. If you have a 10, replace it with a 10. Okay, it's starting to rain a little bit here. I got my 6-lug axle removed from the drum and the wheel. I'll go ahead and install it. As long as you don't turn your rear end or move the spider gears, it should slide right in. Once your axle is in, you can see it sticking out there. You'll find your little horseshoe shaped clip. Set it right in there, and then shove the axle back out to where the clip goes inside of the spider gear. Sorry for the camera, it's a fucking phone. And then you put your pin back in, install the bolt back, and you're good to go.